$1 a month. That's the special offer I have for you through October 9th if you sign up at theathletic.com/thinkingbasketball. They feature huge names like David Aldridge and John Hollinger, and also have great local coverage for every team. You can download the app, customize who you want to follow, and also help support this channel by heading over to theathletic.com/thinkingbasketball for that 6-month dollar special today. In the 6 months after the NBA paused in March, the Miami Heat grew into a different, more dangerous team. Goran Dragic returned to form, and Bam Adebayo keeps growing, but there's more to this offense than a stat sheet suggests. We don't have a large enough sample on this new and improved Heat attack to know just how effective it really is, but what we do know is that Miami has a group of elite shooters and a handful of excellent cutters, and that combination generates more than the sum of its parts. Despite encountering elite defenses like Milwaukee and Boston, Miami posted the 4th best offensive efficiency in the playoffs through the conference finals. And while they lack the transcendent firepower of, say, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, their offense does remind me of those dynastic Warriors teams. Take, for instance, the way they run these split cuts, with 2 players kind of crossing into each other with the option to screen or cut in all kinds of directions. Golden State revitalized these old split cuts with Steph and Klay, where their shooting threat meant teams had to cover dives to the basket and worry about sprints to the three-point line. Miami uses their South Beach Splash Brothers, Duncan Robinson and Tyler Herro, in a similar way, playing off each other to strain the defense because they are both elite shooters. They can also just have one of them cause havoc. Here, Robinson's threat to go over this screen into empty three-point country leads to the back cut and the layup. This shooting gravity helps other cutters. Here, Kyle Korver is velcroed to Herro, so Kendrick Nunn goes from a potential screener to the hot route himself. Notice Bam plays a similar role to Draymond Green, holding the ball around the elbows and feathering passes to these cutters. The Heat really strain defenses with this kind of movement on out-of-bounds plays, where Bam can catch and pick from a bunch of options. If a team doesn't switch, that cut to the basket can easily turn into a layup for Miami. The Celtics were worried about switching Kemba Walker onto Jimmy Butler, so his cut to the post brings a second defender and another open 3. But if the defense overplays that cut, that's a nasty juke. Herro or Robinson can flare out for a handoff, and those two are certifiable marksmen. Robinson shot 44% on high volume from downtown this season, and Herro wasn't far behind at 39%. The Warriors leverage these kind of handoffs too. Curry fakes a cut, and this runs his man into a screen, and it's daylight on the other side. Here, Draymond fakes to Curry, then Klay fakes like he's getting the handoff, and it's a runner-runner flush. Here, Robinson is essentially playing the role of Curry and getting to the other side for that handoff and a clear look. Then defenders overplay the handoff and the back door opens up. He can't really dunk like Klay though. This can involve multiple players and they don't need to be elite shooters. Tyler Herro throws this back to Bam, then slices back door, and so Butler's next for a handoff option and he backdoors it in for the layup instead. All this activity leads to the keep option, when the big man fakes the handoff and the defense sells out to the shooter. And just like Draymond, Bam is dexterous enough to read these overplays and then finish himself at the rim. But there's something more going on with these handoffs. They allow players like Robinson, who can't dribble well, to use a teammate as a placeholder for dribbling while they pitch and catch until they've finally created a clean look. This is similar to the power of movement we discussed in a video earlier this year. Robinson gives it up here immediately so he can then work off the screen. This is effectively a pick and roll just for someone who doesn't dribble. This play epitomizes the power of using Bam in lieu of dribbling. First, Robinson gets to a spot, then he just resets his dribble with the pass, and that's effectively sent his defender into left field, which requires help, and then leads to a wide open shot. We've seen Golden State use Curry's shooting gravity as a screener, where his defender becomes preoccupied with his cuts and is reluctant to help, and there's certainly some of that in play when Miami runs Robinson and Herro around the court like this. High-quality shooters have gravity in general, holding defenders near the arc, which then allows an athlete like Bam to rim run with ease. Normally, this defender could slide into the lane to help, but he's glued to Robinson, and that frees up the pick-and-roll game for Adebayo. This is where a pick-and-roll operator like Goran Dragic can excel, using ball screens with a shooter like Robinson to make these actions difficult to defend. By the way, did you spot that filthy through-the-legs pass? Miami plays like this for the entire shot clock, so they'll flow into the same action late in the possession and force defenses to be buttoned up for 24 seconds straight. This perpetual movement is difficult to defend. Just a brief lapse from Jaylen Brown loses Robinson, and he should legally change his name to Shootin' Robinson, not Duncan Robinson. I know, not my best work. Despite the many similarities we've just seen, these of course aren't the same offenses. The Heat certainly don't have the same talent and versatility as the Warriors did, but the point is that Miami has harnessed many of the same principles that supercharged the Splash Brothers in order to maximize their own non-traditional talent. Specifically the use of perpetual motion with high-end shooters, and using a non-shooting big man as a hub to play around that kind of dangerous activity. There are moments where they've carbon copied the passing savvy of Draymond Green into their own big man fulcrum, Bam Adebayo, but I think asking Bam to pass into so many of these options is more of a throwback to someone like Bill Walton in Blazer Mania, where even before the three-point line, a big man operating outside the post could dime up teammates on the move who weren't necessarily threats with their own dribble. In that sense, the real comparison for this Heat team is more like the 2013 Spurs, a cast of role players around a few perimeter creators who strain defenses by moving more, acting quickly, and hot potatoing the ball to an open man. This allowed them to outpace teams with better isolation scorers and off-the-bounce creators. And to me, that's the big lesson from the 2020 Heat. It's not that this offense will be a revelation, but instead that there might be more Joe Harrises in the league one day. And blending movement-based shooters with non-shooters opens up other avenues like the pick-and-roll game. I do think we'll see more Duncan Robinsons in the near future, and those kinds of players implementing this level of dynamic, purposeful movement might be the best way for many teams to become much greater than just the sum of their parts. Remember to check out that limited time offer at theathletic.com/thinkingbasketball. That's a great way to support this channel, as is signing up for more Thinking Basketball content at patreon.com/thinkingbasketball. There are additional videos, podcast post shows, and more. Next weekend is our live Q&A to wrap the season. Hope you've enjoyed it, and that wherever you are having a great day.